was shocked. But the good news is, about a week ago, he resigned and withdrew his name as a nominee. And even Trump even said then, uh, the Wall Street Journal called me and said, well, he withdrew. Why did he withdraw? He didn't withdraw. I withdrew him. So
Good.
Trump was a little bit on the opposite side of that. But we're talking about Sheriff Chad Chronister from Tampa. And back during the COVID farce, he arrested Pastor Rodney Howard Brown for having church services.
Ah.
In the United States of America, a sheriff arrests a pastor for having church.
Just a quick break from the program to share a really amazing product that am offering now on my website at sarahwestall.com under shop, and this is Body Align. You can get the sleep patches. If you're having problems sleeping, like so many people in the country, try this. Since I started using these, I have slept through the night without waking up, which is amazing. I haven't done that for a long time. Usually wake up a couple times. I've been sleeping through the night. So try this if you're having a problem with sleeping. They also have these amazing pain relief patches. So if you're having problems with pain, do this because it helps with fast acting, relieves your pain. It's called the Body Relief Patch from Body Align. They also have this overall wellness band, which has over 300 frequencies from everywhere from getting your vitamins and minerals to reducing stress and anxiety, just the overall wellness. So go to sarahwestall.com under shop, or you can go to bodyalign.com/Sarah. So either link works, but you can always go to sarahwestall.com under shop and see all the options that they have. Welcome to Business Game Changers. I'm Sarah Westall. I have Sheriff Mack coming back to the program. We had done quite a few interviews back in the day, and actually during the early part of COVID. He's the leading sheriff in the country fighting and trying to bring constitutional awareness to your communities. And you got to follow this guy. He's part of CSPOA. He actually, during COVID, he was working with the sheriffs to make sure that people have the right to go to church, that people have the right to do basic things. And during early 90s, he's the reason he fought a case all the way to the Supreme Court where they were going to try to take the Amendment away from us, and they got extremely close. It's because of him that the Second Amendment is still around, and now it's stronger than ever as far as having a coalition to fight against it. I wouldn't say it's stronger than ever forever. I just say right now they at least have a coalition to fight against it. But he also is going to talk about a Trump appointee for a sheriff that was going to be in charge of the DEA. But this guy is the example he's been using for years as the worst of the worst that you don't want to have involved in anything. And next thing you know, Trump appoints him to the head of the DEA. And so he got all nervous and fought against it. He got with Steve Bannon and they got the guy to step down. And we talk about that whole conversation and how that is occurring. So it's a good inside look at to what happened there. And then we talk about other issues about what's going to be implemented going forward. And I challenge him on a couple topics, so you'll get that. But you can see that they're really confident and they're really focused on making a difference going forward as far as getting to the corruption at the very highest levels. I just did an interview with Sean Taylor, who was police chief in Arizona, that as of the time I'm recording this, as of a week ago, his house was shot up multiple rounds and he had to flee to protect himself because he's over the target of going after some of the worst criminals up to the highest levels in the country at the federal level and multinational level. And Sheriff Mack lives in that county. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So I hope you watch this whole thing, and I hope you support the CSPOA. They have this wallet that he shares and gives you actually a badge that you can show people of being working for this organization, and it brings you more credibility. If you're pulled over for a speeding ticket, this might help you get out of it, because the police that pull you over will have a lot more respect for you in some cases. So you never know. So there is a link below for that. And hopefully they're doing a big fundraising, and it's a very important organization. Before I get into that, I want to talk to you about the Love Pod. I've been sharing this with everyone I can. It solves many of the problems that we have. It solves the grid down situation because it does a distributed mesh network, which you need to learn about. And the more of these that you get, the stronger it is and the safer it is. It also works with the existing network. So it's not like you have to all move to a different network. It works with the existing network in your area, 4G or satellite. It is a routing device. So it works for up to 9 devices, your computer, your phone, mini. It also solves the EMF issue with health. It converts the signal through this router. And so what's coming into your home and into your environment are frequencies that don't hurt your body. It doesn't hurt you at a cellular level. That's important. I've been talking for a long time that we do not need to use frequencies that hurt us. There are frequencies that work well with our bodies. They solve that problem. It also solves the problem of privacy, data privacy, because they have essentially like a VPN service, but since it's going through a sovereign country, the indigenous sovereign country, they have a treaty at the international level that you can't touch their data. And so it's protected by treaty as well. This is an amazing device. I hope you look into it. If you get this before Christmas, they have a little bit of a coupon where you can save some money per device. It's only $200 plus the data package, but for 9 devices, that's a pretty good deal. So you can go to the link below, or you can go to sarahwestall.com under shop, and you can get yours today. It makes a perfect Christmas present. Okay, let's get into my conversation with Sheriff Mack. Hi, Richard. Welcome back to the program.
Sarah, it's for being such good friends. We've never met in person, I don't think so. But
No,
thanks for
and
all you do, and it's
a
pleasure.
thank you. And I gotta go watch one of your. You were here in Minnesota, and I needed to go see you, and I couldn't get there. And so next time I got to do it. But I really appreciate everything you've been doing. We've been talking for years, like pre-COVID time, and it seems that since we started talking many years ago, the world is waking up to so many of these topics in a good way.
Yeah. We're finally getting some traction on this whole thing about returning to the Constitution.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I
weird
think people
concept.
are finally realizing that we're not in trouble in America because we're following the Constitution too strictly.
Yeah, it's not that. Yeah.
yeah,
And I've just stopped saying what party I'm just saying I'm a constitutionalist. That's all I say. And I think that it can reach everyone when you start speaking that language. Let's just go back to some of these basics.
yeah. I just want government to leave me alone.
Well,
I don't
yes.
want government to try to take care of me, take care of my health for me. That's my job. Government
That's
is here
right.
to make sure that the playing field is even for everybody. It's the same equality for everyone, special rights for no one, equal rights for everyone. And other than that, stay out of our lives, stay out of our way, and leave me alone.
And we got to make sure the justice system is truly the justice system, right? I mean,
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
yeah, if you're hurting someone, leave me alone.
Yeah,
Everybody stay in my life. You can do whatever the heck you want. But as soon as you
right.
cross that line and you hurt someone, the justice
Now
system needs
government
to
at that
work.
point should interfere. Yeah,
It needs to
yeah,
work. And all of
yeah.
that has broken down. And that's what we're trying to fix. But you don't like this latest Trump appointment. In fact, it's so bad. It's the example that you've been using for years as and then suddenly the worst, it must be an utter nightmare to find the person you've been using as the best example of the worst is now being selected. So can you explain that?
Yeah, I was shocked. But the good news is, about a week ago, he resigned and withdrew his name as a nominee. And even Trump even said then, the Wall Street Journal called me and said, well, he withdrew. Why did he withdraw? He didn't withdraw. I withdrew him. So
Good.
Trump was a little bit on the opposite side of that. But we're talking about Sheriff Chad Chronister from Tampa. And back during the COVID farce, he arrested Pastor Rodney Howard Brown for having church services.
Ah.
In the United States of America, a sheriff arrests a pastor for having church. Okay? And Chronister took like he had the higher calling than the First Amendment and the freedom of religion principle that our country was founded upon, that he had to butt in and make sure that all his congregation was safe from this horrible pastor conducting church service. All of those people were there on their own volition. They wanted to go to church. They think church and worship of God is essential. Okay? So
It's their right.
there was
right?
no law, as you very well know, Sarah, there was no law on the books or statute saying you couldn't have church service during the COVID crisis, which all of us in the freedom movement, those of us who believed in the Constitution and American ideals, said even if it was real, government has no right to interfere to that extreme. You know, they can teach us and they can persuade us, say, oh, this vaccine is really good for you. You should all take it. That's as far as they can go with any of that.
Well, how about
They can't shut
forcing?
us down.
Yes. How about
Go
forcing
ahead.
like my website when they went to GoDaddy and said to their federal crimes division and shut down my website, which was getting upwards of 1 million
Yes.
views a month. And they never
Yeah.
did anything with it. They just shut it down. They never told me what my
You shut it
crime
down.
was. What was my crime?
Yeah.
That is not okay.
Well, they literally confiscated your property without due process. They confiscated
it's
your
freedom.
property.
It's property and it's freedom of speech and it's the right of others to hear
Yes.
what I have to say. So they violated many constitutional amendments.
Right. So Chronister was all over that. And I would, ever since then, I would tell, this is my backdrop of it. This is the tale of two sheriffs, a la Charles Dickens' The Tale of Two Cities. So I would show everyone what I would tell everyone on all my programs, and I think I've even written about it before. All our conferences, all our training seminars, the tale of two sheriffs. Sheriff Chronister arrested Pastor Rodney Howard Brown for having church. On the other hand, Sheriff Glenn Hamilton in New Mexico did just the opposite. Pastor Caleb Cooper went to him and said, I'm not shutting my church down. And I want you to know why. And he's told this to his sheriff. And he said, the government does not run my church. Jesus Christ runs our church. And I'm not closing down. And I want to know, Sheriff Hamilton, what you're going to do to protect us. And Sheriff Hamilton responded, if it takes me having to go to jail myself, I will protect you and your church and keep you open.
Good for him. Good for him.
So then in came the
Yep.
state police from the governor's office, and they came to shut him down. And they were met by Sheriff Hamilton. He didn't threaten to arrest him. He didn't try to arrest him. He didn't pull his gun on him. Nothing like that. This is a peaceful interposition where he put himself in the way. And he said to the state police, just so you know, I have deputized every person in that church. They are under my authority, and this church will remain open. The state police nodded, they shrugged and left and never have come back. And Pastor Caleb Cooper never shut down 1 second of one Sunday, and he kept his church open the whole time because he had a constitutional sheriff who was creative and courageous and kept him open in a very simple, easy way that hurt no one.
Okay, so then how
That's
the
the
heck?
difference. And then I ask, first of all, I ask all the sheriffs, which sheriff are you? And people of America,
That's
which
great.
sheriff do you
Sheriff
want
are
in your
you?
county?
Yep.
That's easy.
Self-reflect. What are you? Are you going to hold up the Constitution, or are you going to be a stooge for the government, for the state tyranny?
Right.
Okay, so question for
By
you.
corrupt government.
Yeah, well, yeah, by tyranny. So question for you, how did this appointment of the worst get to the point where Trump appointed him, because that happened in the first administration, and he's just a human being. He's getting input from everybody, and as soon as he gets told and the information gets to him, it looks like he'll correct it. But he's like kind of a sitting duck on a lot of things. Okay, what happened?
I know exactly how it came about. I'm not going to give the name of the other appointee, nominee that Trump did, but he totally trusted this other person. And this person told Trump, you definitely want to get Sheriff Chronister to be in charge of the DEA. And instead of vetting, because he knew this person very well and trusted this person, he picked Chronister. And then we really got moving, and we got all of our CSPOA people. We're very strong in Florida. I even called one of our sheriffs there. And he said, I can't get involved, but do what you got to do. And so, okay, great. And so we got our members there and our state director and our assistant state director to go after it. And we got about one of our good members there by the name of Mike Cartwright. He went after it and started putting it out. Calls were made to Trump and his transition team. Steve Bannon asked me to be on his show about this. He said to me on the show, I'm going to get this clip and put it in front of Trump. Then 2 days later, Steve Bannon asked me back on, and he said, I guess you know what happened. I said, yes. And Steve Bannon's quote was to me, Sheriff Mack, good call on what you did to block this nominee for DEA. And he said, Trump thanks you and really appreciates you and the CSPOA.
Well, that's excellent.
So
good for you.
we got rid of Chronister. Thank goodness. He donated to Barack Obama. He donated to the DNC, and he called himself a Republican. He doesn't care about the oath of office. He doesn't care about the Constitution. We've tried to call his office and invite him to numerous events, numerous seminars that we've had in Florida and other places. He's never even returned our calls. He has no room for the Constitution in his career or his life. He doesn't care about the Constitution or his oath of office. And we didn't want somebody like that in the Trump administration. And thank goodness it worked.
Okay, so question for you. This person who was one of Trump's appointees that did this, that he obviously Trump's not going to trust him anymore. So, and I know you don't want to disclose who this person is, but is that person at risk for being removed?
No, because when this person did it, he or she did it because they were good friends, and it was just a friend thing. And
yeah, but that's BS.
I don't even know. Yeah, it is a little bit, but I guess that's the way things work there. And obviously, this person was wrong because a friendship doesn't supersede, the Constitution.
Well, I hope. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I don't know who it is, okay? But I hope that person changes their manner in which they operate, and that they realize that when they do things like that, it undermines the trust of the people that you work for. And now you have just violated, you're going to have a much bigger struggle getting your own work done, because now a lot of people don't trust you. So you got to have a better.
And I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way, but I believe this person has learned a lesson.
Well, I think at this point, if they're that far up in a professional career, then they should know better. Right? I mean, they should know better at this point. If they're in a position.
I think that person does now.
Well, they should have known before, because what other things don't they know? That's the question. To me, that's a game changer for that person. I don't know. I have no idea who this is. Okay. So
I felt the same way at first, but after
this is not a personal attack, because I don't even know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Right. You don't even know who it is, but I felt the same way. But after I found out how the whole thing went down, and the person apologized and really went, wow, I was wrong. And this person knew that this person was wrong. And so I think it's going to be all right.
Well, okay. Somebody at that
I
kind
think
of
she,
level.
this person got slapped around a little bit on that, and so okay, yeah, I get it. I was wrong. So
You can be
I'm
wrong.
okay with it.
You can be
But
wrong, but
there's a
when you're
couple of
talking
nominees there
that are worse,
I still don't feel very good about. But it's going to be okay.
a quick break from the program to share with you Masterpiece. This is amazing. It's gentle. You can use it every day, and it gets out microplastics, it gets out heavy metals, it gets out aluminum, and it works. They're the only company I have found that actually are doing studies to prove that their stuff works. It gets out graphene oxide. It is amazing stuff. It's only $52.99, and you get a 2 month supply. I buy this for my entire family. I get boxes of 10 and I send it out to all of my daughter, my son, my husband, even my parents. I give this to because I want everybody to be protected from the pollution that's everywhere. Which makes this so amazing isn't just its very small zeolite that takes that heavy metal or that pollution out of your cell, but it also has marine plasma, which is the most nutritious, dense element on earth. And it really gives you a dose of nutrition and you can feel it in your cells. You can buy this with the link below or go to sarahwestall.com under shop. Okay, well, I don't have your same.
We totally support Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon, what they're doing. And quite frankly, they have got to do two things before they do anything else. One, defund Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood gets $500 million a year of taxpayer dollars, which is totally illegal, unconstitutional, and totally improper, corrupt spending. That one has to go first. It has nothing to do with pro-life, pro-choice. It has everything to do with constitutional and lawful expenditures of taxpayer dollars. It is an NGO. It is a private club, private organization, and we have no business sending taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood or some other NGOs too. They all need to go. And the next one is abolish and cut and receive immediately a savings of $20 billion a year by getting rid of the IRS.
Well, I wouldn't mind that.
Those
Okay.
two things have to go first.
So the IRS, getting rid of the IRS, that would overnight, and so I want to hear your opinion, okay? Getting rid of the IRS overnight would make it so that many people would probably just not pay their taxes. Do you see that as a problem?
No, not true. Not true.
You don't think so? You don't think that's
Well,
true?
first of all, they need to get rid of the income tax too. But let's say it stays.
I don't know if that's a problem or
It's-
not, but I just wanted to know what you thought on that.
No, it's a simple one. Let's see. Ted Cruz ran on this in his campaign for president. Rand Paul ran on this for his campaign. He said no income tax should be more convoluted or confusing. It should all be fit on the side of a postcard, the size of a postcard.
I agree with that.
This is what you made. This is your tax bracket. You pay 1%. So let's say it's 75,000, up to 75,000, you pay zero. 75,000 to 150, you pay 150 to 225 or 250, you pay 2%. It graduates all up to the super rich where they pay 10. Done. Okay. How simple is that? But all of these deductions and all of these loopholes and all of that, and you need to hire all these accountants to take care of it, and they still can't figure it out.
You know why they do that?
And-
We had the assistant tax secretary on my show that was under Bush. This was years ago, right? And we talked about it. He said,
Yeah.
Sarah, and we met. We actually, he's from Minnesota and we met and we had lunch and stuff. He said the reason why the tax code is there is because they realize they can't affect behavior any other way, and that the tax is the number one way to affect behavior. So they will not.
Exactly.
This is
It's
their
about
means
control.
it's their means of controlling people. That's what it's turned into.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what else? It's also used, like the FBI and IRS are used to attack political enemies. Nixon said it. Oh, let's get these people audited. Hurry up, get these people audited. FDR did it. Clintons did it.
Well, Al Capone was taken down that way, which was not a. Sometimes you like, well, the mafia head was taken down by the tax evasion. They got somebody bad that way, but still, it's not good when you. Janda was. They tried to go after Dave Janda, who was impeccable, and they couldn't get to him. But they audited him every year for like 10 years, trying to get to him.
Well, they did my father-in-law, who made very little money, very never rich at all. They audited my father-in-law randomly, just random audits, 11 years in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
and my
that's my
father
point.
retired from the FBI, and 2 years later they audit my father. We had a three-bedroom home, one car, and that's it. And then, oh, I drove
Why?
an
Why
old.
your father?
Exactly why is indeed
Did
because
you?
back in that at that time, the commissions to the IRS, and the IRS was fabricating evidence against people they knew could not afford to pay extra. So they would just get it because people couldn't afford it. They came to the wrong guy. My dad was a good investigator. He got his accountant and his lawyer, and my father proved that he didn't owe 6,500. This is back in 78. $6,500 was a lot of money back then. And he proved they lied. He proved they were wrong, and that they actually owed my dad $600. They never paid my dad. They left him alone, but they changed my dad's life forever. 2 years out of his life that he fought this, and his trust for the federal government just went completely south. That he dedicated his life to. His
Yeah.
career was
He
that.
was an FBI agent,
And
right?
so but the IRS does what? They make a living on random, baseless audits. That is 100% a violation of the Fourth Amendment. They don't have probable cause. Can any other law enforcement group just say, oh, I'm going to go audit that family? They look like they're cooking meth. Oh, they look like they're doing, oh, I don't care if they look like it or not. I can just go audit everyone. Go in their home, audit, check them out.
Well,
That's
that's
against
who
the law.
they get more money doing that because they're excuse me, they're easier to go after, right?
Of
And
course.
because the wealthy have their teams of accountants, they're going to fight it. The people who are the
Right.
low-hanging fruit don't have their teams of accountants and
They don't have it. Well,
Mhm.
that's another thing. The FDA and the USDA are going after Amish farmers today. Why? Just what you said. They're easy targets. They don't fight back. So now they have Amos Miller fighting back, and he hired a very influential, nationally renowned lawyer. All I remember his last name is Barnes. But they pretty much destroyed this man's farm, their livelihood, his family, and all the only trouble is they don't pasteurize their milk. And
I
that's none of the
know.
FDA's business. It's none of the federal government's business. They don't, the federal government does not have the authority to monitor every farm and ranch in this country. That is absurd. And this is tyranny, and it's abuse, and
They
it's
use
oppression.
they use the IRS to go after competitors of big multinational corporations. That's what's happening, I
Yes,
believe. And to
that's happened.
funnel it's happened, and I think it's happening quite a bit. They use it to go after anybody that questions the medical system or the farming system or any kind of multinational control structure. That's what's happening. It's eroding our basic freedom.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and American liberty and the IRS cannot coexist. And to be honest, they haven't. And what did we do for money to fund our federal government before 1913 when the IRS was formed? We had plenty of money. Everything was fine. It was supposedly started to help fund World War One. And then they kept it, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger ever since then. And the abuse, the Congress never had the guts to get rid of them or to rein them in. And they now are the Gestapo of America. And this has got to stop. And I believe, I hope, and pray that Vivek and Elon are going to stop it and get rid of them.
Well, I hope so. I don't think that we can count on any one person to save our country. I think they can maybe get us going, do some good things, and then it's going in the right direction.
I've said the same thing. We need the
Yeah.
sheriffs involved. We the people involved with the sheriffs. How are we going to do deportation nationwide and local authorities are not involved in that? They have to be. And that's another thing Steve Bannon and I spoke about. And I've actually contacted Tom Homan about this. And he and I
Well,
know each other. And I said,
okay.
the sheriffs have got to be involved. They're willing and ready to help. I'm willing, ready to help. Just let me know. Sheriff Mark Lamb is willing and ready to help. I hope Tom picks him as an assistant, or maybe Kash Patel could pick him as an assistant with the FBI. But Sheriff Mark Lamb should be involved. He's excellent. He knows the border. He knows drugs. He knows law, and he's an honest man.
I think the one area that's missing, and I would like to see the world catch up to it, is in big tech. And I think we are all living in a world that's, people in politics are living about 20 years behind or 2 decades behind. They haven't realized that the entire world has changed. Every large corporation in the world, top 20 now, I think last time I looked, top 15, all were big tech or supporting big tech except one, and it was Saudi Arabia, Aramco's, that one. The whole world has changed. The structure of the world has changed, but we manage it as if we're living 20 years ago because the people in politics and the people doing all this stuff, it's just not their world. So we're watching the entire, our freedoms and everything being stripped because people don't even know how to fight back against that. Have you started to enter into any of those arenas, and how do we reclaim some of our rights when it comes to this whole new world that is frankly different than 20 years ago?
Well, I think perhaps even a bigger issue that's related to what you're talking about, and that's the corruption of Washington, D.C. Do any of these people ever get investigated for anything? Look at Hillary and the Clinton Foundation and Bill and Hillary. Look at all they've gotten away with and all the crimes that they've committed.
Well, let's just talk about specific, raising money and how they took
raising money from our
98%
enemies.
of it.
And look at the Biden family syndicate. Hunter was the go-between. He was the money man, funneling money to all, not just the big guy, his dad, but to the rest of the family. And this is all being defended. All it's been defended by the Democrat Party, any Democrat in Washington, and the national media. And you can get away with murder if the national media are on your side. Barack Obama got away with all sorts of crimes. And yet Trump gets charged with a literally fabricated charge that he misled lenders when there's no victim. Even the banks that said they loaned him money, they said they would do it again. He's fine. He paid back his loan. We have no problem.
It's just
and all of this corruption and going after Penny, the former Marine, for saving people's lives on a subway, and they go after him. And look, I don't like it that the suspect died. I never like stuff like that. But it was an accident, and there was no mens rea. There was no criminal intent by this man. Adrenaline started flowing. He kept a hold there. Even a doctor testified, pathologist testified. They didn't think that was what was the cause of death, his chokehold. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But this man was just trying. It should have been the Good Samaritan rule and law right there, and that keeps him protected. But no, they go after him, and they got embarrassed, and it's just all politics now in the justice system, and we've got to get rid of that. So I actually suggested to all sheriffs nationwide about 6 months ago that they start investigating all public officials, corrupt public officials in Washington, D.C. Let's start getting them investigated. Investigate the president. I'm talking about Biden. Investigate Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, anyone else in Washington, D.C. or the states that had anything to do with bringing illegal aliens into the country or aiding and abetting illegal immigration, which has brought us terrorists to America, gangs from Latin America all over are now set up shop here, as we saw in Aurora, Colorado, and the fentanyl and drug abuse and the crimes committed against police and citizens, Laken Riley and others, that this administration right now completely ignores all the collateral damage they've done and collateral victims they caused. Nothing is happening. So I said, sheriffs, we're going to have to do this. Washington, D.C. is not going to wipe its own nose. We've got to do it. I talked to Sheriff Mark Lamb about that, and he goes, I totally agree. He said, I finished criminal investigation on Alejandro Mayorkas several months ago, and it's sitting on the county attorney's desk awaiting charges. That county attorney lost, so we're hoping that the new one will still follow through when he takes office January 1st.
Well,
Folks,
what do you about
look what Sheriff Mark Lamb has already done. He's already done the investigation on Alejandro Mayorkas.
that needs to be used? Well, okay, but let's talk about the Smith-Mutt Act for propaganda. That nobody's talking about reversing that. They want this. Why are we not talking about that? And you just got done saying that they can literally get away with murder when the media is on their side. And I got to tell you, they can also create and frame anything and smear anybody. And that's why I'm saying this technology and the big tech is important, because they're moving to take over that. If we do not, they can frame and do whatever they want. I knew people who were so upset that Trump won because he was a convicted felon. They only listen to the propaganda media. So to them, and it's framed really well, and they never hear anything else, that was their whole reality. And so until we take care of that, how do we go ahead?
I actually got this to Trump's people, and I don't know if they ever got it to him, but before he went on the debate with Biden, and then before he went on the debate with Kamala, I said, he's got to use this. When they accuse him of being a felon, and this is what I wanted him to do so badly, because the left really believe in Martin Luther King. I do too. And I quote Martin Luther King in my presentations. But this is the thing. Martin Luther King was also arrested over 30 times, just as Trump. I don't know for sure if Martin Luther King was ever charged with a felony. It wouldn't surprise me. He probably was. But it was all government corruption that went after Martin Luther King. And it was all government corruption that went after Donald J. Trump. And he should have drawn the comparison. Yeah, I got illegally convicted, and Martin Luther King was illegally convicted of numerous crimes, just like I was. And both of us were innocent, and both of us were victims of corrupt government. That needs to stop, and the American people need to wake up to that, because I'm going to protect them. And he said this a few times, I'm going to protect the American people from this corruption. And that has to happen. And if now they start these criminal investigations against the most ardent criminals in American history, and that's the politicians of Washington, D.C., then we're going to get somewhere. And then I believe that will have a ripple effect to corrupt NGOs and to corrupt businesses, and they better start flying straight.
I agree with that. We need to get to the bottom of this corruption, the human trafficking circles. You are in Maricopa County, Arizona, from what I understand. I just had
That's where
an
I live now,
interview.
yes.
I just had an interview with Sean Taylor and Mark Fincham. And Sean Taylor, his house was shot up. He's now, he had to resign as the chief of police in the town that he was in, and just for his safety. And now he's in a safer location as he's investigating these crime rings that go all the way up to they're multinational crime rings that go all the way up to Washington, D.C. and beyond. Are you in contact with them? And they claim that Maricopa County is one of the centers of this whole crime ring.
Well, Phoenix Police Department has had their fair share of investigations and oversight that has said that lately, that they've been out of line. The good news is, and Mark Fincham will tell you the same thing because he knows him very well, we just got a constitutional sheriff elected in Maricopa County. His name is Jerry Sheridan. I helped in his campaign a great deal. I've never worked so hard on a campaign since I ran for office myself. Jerry Sheridan is for real. I think he's going to clean up the county. Well, I know he is. he wants to help with deportation. He knows Tom Homan. They're good friends. Tom Homan came out and did a fundraiser for Jerry Sheridan. I was actually at our CSPOA seminar at the same time in Vegas because, man, I should have checked with Jerry before I did that, so I didn't have them at the same time. But Jerry Sheridan is a breath of fresh air, and he's spent 40 years at Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. He's ready to get rid of the corruption in Maricopa County. It's the fourth largest sheriff's office in the country. I don't know if you heard this yesterday, but the sheriff of San Diego County, Sheriff Kelly Martinez, just came out publicly against her own county board of supervisors, county commissioners. They said they passed a resolution that 3-1, or was it 4-1? Anyway, there was only one person on the county commissioner said, no, we should be cooperating with deportation. We want to stop all these crimes. Why are you inviting more crime into our county and being on the side of criminals? So they said, no resources, no personnel can be used to help with deportation. We want these criminals here. We want to keep them here. They didn't say it that way, but that's what they were doing.
How did they
saying.
say it? They said
And
they wanted the immigrants
They
here.
said that we will not cooperate with any deportation or anything at all to get rid of illegal aliens or to get rid of migrants. We will
Migrants is the
protect
words
the
they
people
use.
that are here.
Well,
I know.
and the difference is because there are good people that come here for a better life. Those are the difference. And so
Doesn't matter.
if
they want to come in, they have to come in
I'm
legally.
just saying that's what they're using as, well, some people,
Well,
what
I
do you
know.
think about the people that came? Well, first of all, that's the language they use to convince people.
Right.
But what do you think about people who have come when they were babies and they don't know any better? They're the DACA kids.
You know, the additional victims that are caused by the illegal immigration, I'm sorry for that. It wasn't those kids' fault, but we certainly don't want to divide families, but that's not going to happen very often. Right now, they want to go after the low-lying fruit of the worst ones.
Perfect.
They want to go
Yeah.
after the cartels. They want to go after the terrorists. They want to go after the fentanyl distributors. They want to go after the human trafficking. If that involves any of those, then they go too. But that's so minuscule compared to the 35 million people that are here illegally that have brought in every enemy of America's. They
That's
now
right.
have set up shop in America.
That's
That's
right.
what we should focus on.
We need to focus on the true criminals and not get
Right, exactly.
sidetracked. Yeah.
Exactly. But now the sheriff came out and said, the board of supervisors don't run my office. I run the sheriff's office, and we will cooperate with deportation because we need these criminals out. And so I already left a message for Sheriff Martinez. She's wonderful. She was absolutely correct. The sheriff does not take orders or answer to the county commissioners. She is independent and she works for and answers to the people of her county. And she knows that these people want to be protected and they want this criminal element and the increase of crime and fentanyl and human trafficking out of their county. She's doing her job and she told the truth. Good
That's
for
true.
her. She's exposed a lot of what a true sheriff is all about.
Yeah, the fentanyl needs to stop, and it's on purpose. I had somebody that had some insight from China and from high-level people in China and asked why they're doing this, because China's behind the big fentanyl thing. And they say it's revenge for the opium wars. That's how they think. That's what I was told. And it's like, well, why? And I made the comment, why would they go after innocent civilians who weren't even alive? I mean, they weren't had anything, children. Why would this happen? And they just don't care. It's a means for taking down our country and destabilizing our country. So there's more going on here, but it's real, and we can't allow this to continue. I applaud your efforts. I know I've been talking to you for years, and I helped you raise some money, not enough, but I did the best I could. And so I'm hoping people.
Well, let's get all your listeners to support us financially. We're in a big fundraiser right now. We have a lot of different things on our website. Look, this is going to be a fundraiser for ours. look at the beautiful this is our beautiful CSPOA badge wallets.
Oh, awesome.
And
Do I get
they
the
are
badge with
awesome.
it?
Of course.
Oh, you
Well, yeah,
do?
it says Constitutional Posse, CSPOA. Okay. Yes, this all comes with it. And this
So
is
I can flash it like
499.
I'm the legit, although you
Of
can't
course.
do.
Oh, you keep your license right here next to it when you
Oh,
get stopped. And so the cop, of course, will see that, and you show it on purpose. You don't say, "Hey, look at me." You just go, "Oh, here's my license," and you hold this in your lap. And he goes, "Oh, who do you work for?" And you tell him, "I work for the Constitutional Sheriff's Organization."
and what does that do? What
That's
kind of
it.
what it just gives them a little more respect for you, or does it provide
Yes,
what?
exactly. Of course it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent.
He still might write you a ticket. If he does, fine. Take it to court later or go pay it. But yeah, this is great identification. It's great to have, and it's credibility. And you really do. You work for one of the most important constitutional organizations in America that includes sheriffs and peace officers. The CSPOA, that's what it says here. CSPOA Constitutional Posse. Yeah.
Yeah, it calls you
And
a posse.
again,
Okay, so that's
folks,
awesome. So where,
just so
what,
everybody knows, it's $499.
that's what I was wondering.
I don't even think we have the banner up yet on our website. Go to CSPOA. If you make a donation of $4.99, we'll know what it is. It's for this badge. Make sure you give us your email address and your mailing address so we can get this to you before Christmas. If you want to get a couple of them, go ahead. Make sure you put on there, I'm purchasing the CSPOA badge. Okay. Again, we just started this yesterday. I don't think the banner's up yet. So if you want to be ahead of the curve and get these, get moving, folks, because these won't last very long. $499, and we will pay the shipping.
How many do you have?
Okay.
It's gonna be a limited
About
edition.
it's limited, but we have about 80 right now. We have about 80.
You only have 80. Okay, so hopefully you'll
Yeah.
do more and you'll keep, that's not very many folks. So, okay. Well, hopefully there'll be
So
some left over
get them
by
while
the
you
time
can, because yeah,
this
yeah.
goes up. You,
In
and
fact, I
hopefully
asked my
you'll
wife
order
that yesterday.
more. If this works, you'll
Oh,
order
we can get
more.
more. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can get more.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I have a feeling you'll sell more than 80. So, well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining the program. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
That's okay. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the work you're doing. And I've been talking to Ron Bannister. He got me to Minnesota the first time. He said that he needs to have me back. So I will let you know, because I really want you to see it for yourself.
Yeah, let me
What
know
we
and
train
I'll join in
nationwide to
watch.
do. Yeah, I will.
I want to watch it. Other people need to watch. And speaking of that, do you have your
Every person,
events?
first of all, every person needs to get this book. Every one of you. Every American should have this book in their home, their pocket, and their car. This is the most powerful state sovereignty decision in the history of the Supreme Court. Folks, you will be amazed by what Scalia said in here. Use it, pass it around to other officials, and pass it around to your friends and fellow patriots. This was an absolute miracle.
Well, but now do you have on your website, do you have a list of events and your speaking events so people can go watch you?
Yes, but we don't really have anything really soon. I think the next one's January. Then we don't have anything until
But
then.
that's soon.
And
That's soon.
and it's hard to
It's only like
yeah, but
weeks.
I can't remember what it is, and I have another one in March.
Okay.
But we could get them going. I mean, there's people asking for them all the time. But right now, I've been doing hundreds a month of webinars and podcasts, which has kind of taken the place of travel. So it saves me time and wear and tear on my tennis shoes, and and so, but they'll be there. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Sheriff Mack. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Appreciate you.